Hey guys, it is Miss Savannah again. We are going to be talking about the muscular system today. The muscular system and the skeletal system work together in some ways, and we'll be talking about that later on. But let's talk about the purpose. So the purpose of the muscular system is that it works with the skeletal system and nervous system to produce movement. Also helps to circulate blood throughout the body. So muscle cells are fibrous. I cannot say that word very well. Fibrous. So they're made of fibers. And muscle contractions can be voluntary or involuntary. So when muscle contractions are voluntary, that means, I tell my brain to lift my arm. I'm voluntarily lifting my arm, right? I have to tell my arm to move, not verbally, but inside my head. And it's just like a quick little thing, and we don't even realize it sometimes. But, I can control my arms. I can lift them up and down. I can take steps. I can say, okay, I'm going to run now, and I'm going to run. I'm going to, turn in my seat. Those are voluntary things we can control and things that we do. Involuntary. So that's something that you don't tell your body to do. A good example for a type of muscle that is involuntary is your heart. You don't have to sit here and tell your heart, okay, beat, 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 right? Your heart just beats involuntarily. So that's something you can't really control. I couldn't just say, okay, heart, stop beating. You can't do that. So those are involuntary muscle contractions. So the major types of muscles in the human body, the first one is the cardiac muscle. The next one's the skeletal muscle, and then the next one's the smooth muscle. So these are the three major types of muscles in the body, so we need to remember that. So we'll talk about those now. So your body has three types of muscle tissue. So we said skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. So we've got some examples here. We've got our cardiac muscle, which is our heart, skeletal muscle, which is connected to the bone or your skeletal system, and your smooth muscle, which is like some of your organs. Okay. So let's talk about skeletal muscle. Your skeletal muscles are attached to the bones of your skeleton, and that's pretty easy to remember. We know skeletal system is made up of bones, and so the skeletal muscles are the ones that are attached to the bones. Because you have control of skeletal muscles, they are voluntary muscles. So like I said, I can lift up my arm because I've got muscles connected to these bones. These muscles provide the force that move your bones. So your bones and your muscles work together so that you can actually move your arms voluntarily. You can move them, right? They react quickly and tire quickly. So if I just kept doing this over and over again, I know if you hold out your arms like this or hold something, those muscles start to really get tired. But when they're at rest, they don't really get that tired. So a tendon is a strong connective tissue that attaches muscle to bone. So the only way that the muscle is connected to the bone is by that tendon. Stretchy bands called ligaments connect bones together. So we've got lots of ligaments in our fingers, and they go all the way down through our arms. So basically just remember that the skeletal muscle is what is attached to the bones of your skeleton, and they help you move your bones. The next one is your smooth muscle. So your smooth muscles are called involuntary muscles because they work without you telling them to, right? You don't have to tell your intestines to digest your food. So smooth muscle is responsible for moving food through your digestive system. So that's really important to remember. This is one of your intestines. So after you eat, you don't have to sit here and tell your intestines to move that food throughout your body. It just does that. It's involuntarily. It's involuntarily done, right? So that is a smooth muscle. A good example is the intestines. So your cardiac muscle is your heart muscle. It is found only in the heart, and it is also involuntary. So we talked about that you don't have to tell your heart to beat, that it just does it. And your cardiac muscles do not get tired. So they just keep on, helping your heart beat over and over and over again. Okay, so cardiac muscle is the heart, cardiac heart. So let's talk about involuntary muscles. So those are the muscles that you don't have to tell them to do something. So the muscles that are not under your control are called involuntary muscles. Your esophagus, which is here, is lined with smooth muscle. Your heart is made of cardiac muscle, which works automatically pumping blood around your body. So those two examples are involuntary. Involuntary. Said that word a lot this video. That's okay. All right, so the anatomy of a muscle, we know that they are made of fiber. We don't really need to know that. The muscle and bone are held together with a tendon for skeletal muscles. So how do muscles work? Muscles work by contracting. So that's important to know that muscles work by contracting, by becoming shorter or thicker. So when I do this, they're becoming shorter and thicker. Because muscle cells can only contract, not extend, skeletal muscles must work in pairs. While one muscle contracts, the other muscle in the pair returns to its original length. For example, in order to move the lower arm, the bicep muscle on the front of the upper arm, so in order to move your lower arm right here, the bicep muscle on the front upper arm right here contracts to bend the elbow. So you can feel it. So if you'll do this with me, that would be awesome. So just put your hand here on your bicep, on your upper arm, and you can feel it contracting. And you can see my muscles aren't very big. Maybe I need to be lifting some more weights. So as the bicep contracts, the tricep on the back of the upper arm returns to its original length. To straighten the elbow, the tricep muscles contracts while the bicep returns to its original length. All right, so then we have a diagram of all the different muscles. You guys can look over this, but you don't need to memorize all these. You'll learn that in another grade level. So that's all we have for today for muscles. So I'm going to go back and look at the main thing we need to know, which is the purpose. So I want you guys to know that the purpose of the muscular system is that it works with the skeletal system and nervous system to produce movement. You can see this is italicized, so that means that it's really important. It also helps to circulate blood through the human body, and when it says that, it's talking about the heart muscle or the cardiac muscle. So muscle cells are made of fiber, and you need to remember that there are voluntary movement and involuntary movement. Voluntary you can control, involuntary you cannot. 3 types of muscles: cardiac muscle, which is the heart; skeletal muscle, which is attached to the bones or your skeletal system to help you move; and smooth muscles, you'll most likely see those in the digestive system with your intestines or your esophagus. Okay, so if you guys have any questions about that, any at all, you can email me or message me on Class Dojo. Okay, and same for Brittany. You can email Brittany too if you're in her homeroom. Okay, that is all I have for today. Thank you.